Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this, our latest webinar. This one is all about mobile app adoption. So a little bit of housekeeping before we start. So firstly, if you want to ask any questions, there is a little chat box over to the right hand of your screen. I'll be keeping an eye on that as we go along. So please do send us in your questions. We'll be very, very happy to receive them. Then let me just mute that. 1 second. I'm hearing myself watching the stream. That's good. We're live, guys. We're live. So yes, ask questions over to the right-hand side of the screen there, next to the stream box. But in the meantime, let me introduce my fantastic panelists who are going to help us understand how we can make mobile app adoption more successful at our events. So I have Ruben. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, Ruben.
Yes, thank you. Ruben Onder de Linde, founder of Lively, and we are an event tech agency.
Okay, and with me also, I have James.
Hi, thanks, Abby. I'm James, the CEO of GovNet. We are a UK-based event organizer that primarily focuses on sponsor and delegate-led events for the UK public sector. Schools, healthcare, and tech are big verticals for us.
Great. So let me just ask you, James, what kind of events do you run? What sort of size, shape, and things like that? And what do you use your apps for at your events?
Sure. So we run a real mix. Like some of them are large sponsor-led, free to attend, more like trade show formats events. So schools and academies and HET are our kind of big brands in that space, all the way down to kind of training courses. So 25 people being trained in a room. Like we tend not to use apps at some of the smaller training course events. Probably the limit of apps is some of the paid for conferences we run down to kind of 50 to 100 people, and we tend not to take apps kind of lower than that format, but it's a real range of everything weird and wonderful in between those 2 points.
Great. And what about you, Ruben? Obviously, it's not you running the events, but you're supporting these events with the technology. So what kind of events are you looking after, and who are your clients?
So we do all kinds of events, primarily external events, so trade show, conferences, corporate flagship events. For the larger events, we tend to use event apps, but a few criteria when an app is getting applied is mostly when there's a large program with a lot of breakouts and where networking is very important. Those are two main reasons why you would use an app for your event.
Great. So how I want to run the session today, I mean, we have told our attendees that we are going to unlock some powerful strategies and game-changing features to boost adoption. We're going to conquer the common challenges and pitfalls that stand in the way of adoption. And then we're going to offer some practical solutions with some best practices. So I think I want to start with the challenges, because I think that's a good place to start. You know, what are the biggest challenges around mobile app adoption, and why do event organisers experience low adoption of mobile apps at events, perhaps? So what kind of challenges have you both experienced, you know, as event organisers, or as you know, as obviously looking after event organisers when trying to adopt these apps? James, let me go to you first.
So do you mean internally with the teams, or getting
well, yeah, any of the above, in fact, yeah.
So I think, like, first of all, the first problem we had coming out of COVID was I think we had more than one app, and if you think about it, that creates a bit of a problem. Like, apart from having things like lots of logins for your clients and your attendees, like we kind of came out of COVID having run a lot of stuff online. We had a separate meetings app to the event app, and you just had a horrendous customer experience, really. So I think the first kind of challenge for us was dedicating ourselves to a single app that can do most of the things that we want, like quite a lot of the requirements that we need.
Well, can I ask you a follow-up to that then? Why did you have these multiple apps in the first place? Was it just different needs, or over time you'd kind of built out that tech stack and it just ended up with lots of suppliers? Or
Yeah, so I think if you go back to pre-COVID, there actually wasn't any apps that were brilliant at all the things we needed. So there was no apps that could stream and host the kind of content complexity we need at the same time as running amazing meetings programs. I think COVID for like the app platforms was a pretty transformational event. Like everyone obviously doubled down on the virtual experience and then quickly remembered that face to face was a thing again. So we better support that experience. But I think there's a few out there have got it really right, where you kind of have a single place you can go to now for most, not all, but most of the requirements that you would have at either a face to face or a virtual event. So before it was like necessity of requirement, really having to work with a couple of providers, knowing that it was creating that horrible double sort of login experience, but not having a choice. But now it's much better.
okay, what about you, Ruben?
So more looked from a general perspective, as what I've seen as well as an attendee. We've seen a lot of event apps that are very buggy, especially in the early days. So that annoys people that they download an app and then it's not giving them the right experience. So it's very important that the app works very smoothly. We also see that some event apps are not being filled properly with content, so they're not content rich. No pictures of speakers, no descriptions of the sessions, so very basic event information, which is a copy of the website, nothing extra. So I think that's a common mistake as well when using an event app. Also, we see that sometimes there are issues with launching the app via the app stores. So apps get published too late to the event is something we see very often still. And a little bit what James is saying as well, not easy to get started or to log into the app. Sometimes there are not good integrations with the registration. So people download or register last minute for the event, which you see more and more. They need to wait 24 hours to get access to the app, for example. That's also a failure you still see happening. I think there's a bigger list of things we see that could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think I completely agree with that. I remember back, well, probably sort of 2016-ish, when apps were having a bit of a boom time. Everybody wanted an app just for the sake of having an app, and you download it and it's not got the things that you need in there, and you think, why have I bothered? I think, what about the Wi-Fi challenges? Do you think venues have got better? I mean, a lot of apps are dependent on a good internet connection to work. Do you think that there's been change over time with that?
No.
In the Netherlands, we've seen improvements, but yeah.
I mean, like, we don't run many events in Europe. From what I understand, like the Netherlands and Germany has got it pretty good. UK venues consistently have terrible Wi-Fi, and we would say to any event organizer, you have to have an app that works offline, otherwise you're in trouble. Also, you need something where, and exactly as Ruben said, with like the reg stack, like if you're using a different reg provider for on the day reg, for example, you need something that is robust enough so that they end up on the app within seconds. Like the idea being that they could register on the day, print their badge, and by the time it takes 15 seconds to walk to a stand where they might be scanned for the first time, it's already there, and that kind of has to work. You've got to test that relentlessly, otherwise you can have problems.
Yeah, definitely. What about the sort of skepticism or resistance from attendees? I know that you just touched on that, Ruben, with the sort of, if it hasn't got the information you need, do you think people have been burnt by that? Do you find that the problem tends to be on the organizer side in terms of, in terms of that resistance to getting an app, or resistance to spend money on an app, let's say, or it's the people who are actually downloading it? Maybe it's the promotion.
Yeah, it should offer enough value compared to having some printed version, So, and if the audience is not very digital yet, which you still have some industries that are a little bit behind than other ones, I can understand it can cost a lot of effort to get the app in people's hands. So there are some challenges, but anyways, if you would say the app is good, it's not about the app. I think most of the events would benefit from the app, and if you have the right promotion, you would get an adoption that's worth investing in. I think depends on the type of event, like trade shows, free events. You can be happy with 40% adoption rates, for example. Where with a more paid event, a conference should be much higher. But if you go lower than that, yeah, you can doubt if it's worth the investment. Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
think
about
I
you?
kind of echo some of those points. So like I think our audience is challenging when it comes to app adoption. So like the public sector generally has sometimes privacy restrictions on their work phone. They're very kind of privacy sensitive anyway. And particularly, I'm thinking about things like the UK central government and the NHS. Like they're so scared about data loss and data security that you almost have to have a backup option for people who don't want to use the app. Which you would say, well, doesn't that undermine app sort of uptake? Which it does, but you can still push app uptake while having that backup option there. I think it's kind of important to acknowledge whatever constraints you have in the market that you're facing. And then I think, like Ruben said, like to really focus on the value proposition of the event. This is like being a bit perhaps being a bit naive or a little bit like it's a little bit above what we're doing at the moment, if I'm being honest. But to really focus what you're asking people to do on the app around the value proposition of the event. So if you want people to have one-on-one meetings with suppliers, focus on the fact that they can use the app to book one-on-one meetings with those guys. Like don't just say we've got an event app, you should download it. You've got to focus on the why. You've got to focus on what you want them to use it for, how it's going to enhance their day. And I think we've moved on a little bit for than saying, oh, you can just use it to like schedule your day and that's enough. Like it really isn't
No.
anymore. It has to be about like why you want people to use it, what they're going to get out of it in terms of helping them do their job better, rather than just like, here's something, please download it, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you both promote your apps, and what's the timeline for promotion of downloading the app or getting involved in the app?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using a web environment in combination with a mobile app. I think if you want people to prepare for the event, which is also what the app is about, you want to get that started weeks before the event. But I think getting an app downloaded weeks before the event is quite difficult. People are preparing themselves when they are at work. They're behind the laptop. So I always try to stimulate that we promote the web platform first, where people can easily activate their accounts, see what's going on, see what the benefits are, and then more like in the days before the actual event, start pushing the mobile app. When people already have a personal agenda, they have connections, they have meetings booked up, chat conversations going on, then it's far more easy as well to get the app downloaded.
Yeah, they've already seen the value of it before they've even looked at the app, I suppose.
The app is just a medium, it's a channel. So I look more
Yeah.
into what the platform can do for you and which channel works the best at what moment, and then the app is really close and during the event.
Yeah, I think it's I'm fully supportive of the desktop before the app thing. Like our timelines roughly, we would, for a sponsor-led event, try to get sponsors on 8 weeks before. Making sure you've got a window. So exactly as Ruben said before about making the event app look great when people go on it for the first time, even if it is on desktop, making sure that it's kind of ready to go 4 weeks before. So all of the sponsors have got their profiles complete. Our teams have got the event looking exactly how it should look. So you have that kind of dev period, and then we tend to try and get visitors on the desktop about 4 weeks before, with, as Ruben says, like transitioning to the app in the week building up to the show.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's
very
momentum
interesting.
building. It's if you're too soon, you miss out the opportunity that people do the action. So that's I think a big risk of launching too soon. That it's not relevant
Yeah,
yet to do any actions towards the
yeah.
event.
And I think that's such a good tip there, James, that you said, which is just making sure that it is built out, that the companies, the sponsors, exhibitors, whatever, have had the opportunity to showcase their wares, let's say, because if people do go in and they go to a profile and it isn't complete, then they're not going to go back and look at it in a few days' time to go, oh, let's see whether that's ready now. I think it's that first view of a company or a sponsor that's really
Exactly.
key, isn't it?
What
Yeah,
we
and
even
we
do more and more is we launch early for partners to complete their profile, but we also giving them the ability to already see who is coming and that they can already pre-schedule meetings. But we switch off, and we do that with Grip, switch off the email communication. So
Right.
partners can just go all out, prepare themselves in the weeks before the event, and then when the visitors are logging in, they get already interaction. It's already
Mm,
live, the platform, so they already can accept meetings, decline meetings, start
brilliant.
conversations, etc.
Yeah, we do the same thing. I think you basically have to do it to make apps work these days. We kind of go a step further as well, where we'll hold kind of on boarding calls with all of the partners or sponsors at the event, and we'll talk them through not just how to set up their profile, but who do they want to meet. We'll help them book that first set of meetings. We'll help them kind of get set so when the visitors are live on the platform, they're kind of there ready to maximize the experience. And you kind of have to call them and do it, because if
Mm,
exactly Ruben said, if it's 6 weeks out, even someone who's paid a lot to be at an event will say, "Oh no, too far away. I'll just wait." But if you really handhold them through that process, everyone has a better experience.
yeah, exactly. And of course that white glove experience is going to make them feel valued as well. So just as an organizer, that's a good thing to do, because
Mm.
you're showing the love to the people who are paying the money to get the most out of it as well.
Yeah.
So any other strategies that you've used that have significantly boosted the adoption? So we obviously had a call before this, and one of the things that we spoke about, Ruben, you spoke about end-to-end process of SMS at check-in, right?
Yeah, so these days you have the multi-channel platforms, which are like marketing automation, but then multi-channel, where you can also use web push, SMS, social, and I think one of the strong moments to promote the app is at the moment that people get checked in. And based on the data, we can of course see if people are already active in the app or not. And based on that rule, we could say, okay, we send an SMS that links them to the right app stores to download the app at the moment that they get their badge. Then of course make sure that the credentials are printed on the badge as well, so they can't get around downloading the app almost, you would say.
That's a really good idea on the badges. I hadn't thought of that one. That's brilliant. James,
Yeah.
you mentioned a couple as well.
Yes, some of them are a bit, I don't know, maybe you would describe as naughty. We do say that we have trialed at a couple of our events saying that you have to download the app to get in, which is not which is
Not
proven
true, but
is not strictly true, but it does help
Yeah,
when people are trying to find their app and download it to get in it. I mean, you can boost your adoption rate pretty quick.
yeah,
You will have a few people at the registration desk unhappy. So it's a balance on that one. The other thing we would say is, I think trying to highlight that in some way having the app makes the registration process better for you, and in our experience it generally does. So whatever registration provider you're using, generally if someone turns up with the QR code or the app downloaded already, they can probably get their badge faster rather than having
yep,
to search on whatever terminal you're
yep.
doing. So I think most people can genuinely say that you'll have a smoother experience if you come prepared, and using that to push adoption before helps.
Yeah, yeah, you could have a quick line for the people that have downloaded the app, for example.
oh, good
Yeah,
idea.
but
Or
I remember what happens is that if then everyone downloads the app, the quick line becomes the slow line. And
Yeah, but we can see it based on the adoption rates.
I don't
In
have
the
the app. I
morning, in the
don't.
morning, we can change the signage in the morning.
Yeah. Oh.
No, but
And
no print is also something that I really stand for. So if you really
yeah,
want to make people use the app, don't as well print out the program and all that. Promote the app,
yeah,
and some parts that are very vital, you could share it via a separate QR code that links them towards the interactive floor plan outside of the app, or the program outside of the app. But don't print. I think that's one of the killers of stimulating these digital solutions.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, although James, I mean, as you mentioned before, you do have to have that backup. If somebody's battery's died and they don't know where they're going or what they're doing, I think, there does need to be some emergency solution, right? So, I mean, are we really aiming for 100%, or are we aiming for 99?
yeah. I mean, like without printing, you don't have to print an event guide to kind of have like you are here boards that show the floor plan, and you can put the content schedule of the day on boards as well, so you can have like those central
Sure.
points of information access without printing like 5,000 event guides. I think where possible, having that backup option is good. But the more you can do to get people on, I think really like 100% is what we should be targeting.
Yeah.
It's never going to get to 100, but close enough.
Yeah. One of the things that we spoke about again in the run up to this was guest and anonymous access. P.S. Shameless plug. Yes, Grip has just released this recently. But we were talking about how that's a really good way of getting people to see the value of the app. So maybe having event programs that are, not behind a login screen. But then if you want to take any further steps with the app, then you're asked to log in or to sign up for the app or something like that. And I think that that's a really nice way of somebody being making that app really easy to access. Just download it. You don't need to log in for the the bare bones of the experience, but if you want to take advantage of these other bits, then there is a gateway for that. So then obviously as an organizer, you want to be able to track who's looking at what and who's meeting with whom and so on.
Like everything what was normally printed available, that's accessible anonymously via the app. If you want to have more like personalization, networking, then you need to log in. I think it
I
makes
think
sense.
I personally think for us anyway, or for B2B events, like asking people even to download the app and view it anonymously is probably not going to happen. Like it's the app download thing that's hard, but where we're using what you guys have built, which I think it feeds into Ruben's desktop thing, is like we iframe the speaker list, the agenda list, and the sponsor list onto our website. So the core component of our website is effectively the event app, or the desktop version of the app working. And then you'll see when you go through, like if you try and click too far into a session, or you try and click too far into a speaker, it will ask you to register for the show, and then you'll be on the app straight away. And that works really well, because you're even before registration effectively using the desktop experience of the app. For us, that works a little bit better than even allowing guest access to download the app, because I personally just don't think we'll see people downloading the app even to browse what it might be like, whereas to push the desktop version works for us.
Now one of the things that I mentioned in the run up to both of you was this sort of incentivizing the app. So if you download the app, then we will plant a tree, or we will make a donation to a charity. And I asked you both whether that's something that you've tried and the success of that. And well, I'll let you say, James.
Yeah, I mean, I think those things are a bit kind of disingenuous and a bit gimmicky, to be honest. Like, we should all obviously care about we should care about giving back to our clients. We should care about the sustainability of our events. I don't think if you're trying to push app download, those kind of things do anything at all, personally. I think we're so kind of, as consumers generally, I think we're so sort of desensitized to them now. Like I probably get, I don't know, 5 emails a week trying to give me a £25 Prime voucher to fill in some survey. Like it just doesn't. I just don't think it resonates with people anymore. It's almost overdone. So you've got to focus on the value. You've got to focus on the value proposition and the why you want people to do it as a way to encourage engagement, in my view.
I fully agree, especially B2B. B2C, it's a different ballgame, I would say. That could work. People will download the app for the wrong reasons. I think that's a vital thing here. What I've seen working is that you could have some coupons for the after party to get your drinks, for example,
Right, within the app,
within the app. So that could be a trigger. And then if you have a kickoff party for an event, for example, that is also a nice moment to stimulate it, because then you will know that they will also use it during the event instead of, quite late at the event. They come across this action and they still download it.
I think in the trade show, I think to the trade show space, you have obviously got sort of the quality of attendee. You've got a very, very sort of sliding scale of the quality of attendee, and actually, I think you make a good point, which is that if somebody's going, oh yeah, here's a £25, Amazon voucher, is that the data that you want to be getting from your event? The people, the people who are really keen on that, that sort of lower end, or the people that are actually there to do proper business, who want the app because they can arrange meetings and rather than just attending sessions and kind of kicking the tires at the exhibitor booths all the way around. I think there's a real difference there. It's sort of like the swag hunters, you know what I mean? So okay, so let's move on. So user experience, we're sort of nearly 2/3 of the way through now. I don't have any questions just yet from anyone. Just to remind everyone who's joining in, if you do have any questions, please pop them into the chat on the Grit platform over on the right hand side there, and we'll be happy to take them. So any specific features that you've implemented in your event apps? I mean, we've mentioned a few as we've been going along, but that have had a significant impact on user engagement.
I think for us, one-on-one meetings, obviously, that was one of the reasons we had ended up with a couple of different apps pre-COVID, because we were so keen to bring that into our event. And I think particularly for live events now, particularly B2B as well, like one-to-one meetings is kind of the lifeblood of a lot of these events now. So I think that for us has been absolutely key, and probably the biggest driver. Like getting the entire organization bought into the importance of that from day one was kind of the challenge, and one that we successfully overcame by kind of really just letting them build it with us and going through it together with the teams. But that's probably made the biggest impact for us.
Yeah, so exclusive networking, which is run via the app during certain networking moments, right? During the program, we have done stuff like and that you could meet up with some experts via the app, or that you really have the hosted buyer program running through the app. I think integrating the matchmaking into the program, I think that's vital. Like the common mistake during a very busy conference is that you only allow during breaks to have the networking via the app. People also need to go to the toilet, right? And they also want to have this spontaneous chat, and it leaves no space for pre-scheduled meetings. So you really need to integrate it into the program where people can really choose to spend their time on, networking in this matter. I think that's vital. Lead scanning, batch scanning, I think a vital feature for people to download, not only these days on the exhibitor side, but also on the attendee side. What we also see more and more is that the features or the benefits of the app are being used in the entrance model, in the ticketing model. So for specific type of tickets, for example, for the supplier type, or for the people that would normally as well sponsor, for example, but they just want to attend, you could as well highlight all the benefits of the app to get the app downloaded, because they've paid for it then, right? That's one of the ways doing it. And I think interactive floor plans are also a big reason for trade shows to use the app,
Definitely.
and we see more and more routes being used. So if you have a large
So
exhibition,
the
you can,
wayfinding.
yeah, so you can have certain, let's say, themes, the AI tour or the robotic theme, and
Oh,
then
right. Okay.
you can then make sure that people can click from the app and open up the floor plan, which highlights all the different exhibitors for the theme. That's also one
I
of
really
those.
like that idea. That's a really nice one.
I'm like that as well. We've not tried it yet, but we've been thinking about it. It's something that's definitely on our list.
And pay to play, I assume, to be on that particular route, or is it just for the attendee interest sake?
Up to the organizer.
Well, there you go. Okay.
I think one
Um,
of the things that, just to kind of expand on that point a little bit, one thing that's worked quite well for us when it comes to badge scanning is kind of having whatever app you have as your single portal for client outcomes, basically. So if client outcomes is lead gen, like being able for them to have a single place where they can see badge scans, yes, but our events are, even though they're a bit trade showy, they're still quite content heavy. So a lot of the larger sponsors pay to speak, and as part of that package, they'll have those like who was in as part of their lead gen flow. So for them to be able to see in real time, you need to find a way to make it work seamlessly to make sure that you're scanning people as they go into that session, so that the leads appear in their portal straight away. But if you can make it work, giving any clients you have that sense that they're seeing real time ROI from the show as the day goes along, just has a really positive impact on the experience from what we see.
yeah. And I think that's something that you from the printed materials and things like that, you just can't get a sense of. You can't get a sense of how many people are clicking on your profile who are expressing an interest in you, unless they actually come and speak to you at a booth, or in an area, or at your roundtable or whatever. And I think that's such an advantage for those exhibitors and sponsors. That's what the app gives them. I suppose you still got the problem then with the attendees not downloading it, but when they do, the effects are so magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got the challenge of kind of I think particularly sponsorship customers feeling like online lead gen is as valuable as chatting to someone face to face. I think that was the problem a lot of B2B event companies faced during COVID, because with an online specs-led event, with an online sponsor-led event, you've theoretically got 100% app download, because you have to download the app to be there, and you were probably generating more leads than you might do at the live event. But because you didn't feel like you were speaking to them, or because you didn't feel like the meetings you had were as kind of as meaningful because they weren't face to face, even though the sort of recorded ROI might have been higher, it might not have felt that way. And that's where you've got to really blend that experience with what you're doing live. Like you'll still get customers, and we do now, who are like, I don't care how many people have seen my online page. Like, I care about how many people I spoke to on the day and whether they were smiling at me or not. It's like,
Exactly.
to a certain extent, we can't fix that.
Yeah, I mean, to me as well, going back to sort of what we said at the start, which is that selling of the value of the app. And I think one of the things that we find our organisers, we recommend that our organisers do, is to have a kind of video playing around the show floor, let's say, which talks about the value. So not just download the app, as you said, James, like download the app because it's got the agenda. It's, download the app to save yourself time by, it's sort of speak to me about what it's going to give me, not what it does, so I think that's really important. And certainly in the days, going back to read and so on, some good examples at the trade shows I saw were, as you say, QR codes on signage around the venue, so that it makes it very easy to just to scan a QR code takes you to the download page and everything. And I think the more the better with that, on entry, next to the theatres, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the kind of the value of why they're using the app as well, but we try and feature in the videos content and some of the signage around the event, not just like, here's a QR code to download the app, but like, hi, I'm James, I want to meet with you, like, look at this QR code to arrange a meeting with me, and or like, I am a keynote, I'm going to be in this place for 5 minutes, if you want to chat, like, download the app and book a slot, like things like that, to make it more about like what they're actually consuming the app for, rather than just download the app itself. I think works.
Yeah, definitely. Ruben, you mentioned app help desks, to help people when they're actually at the live show. Can you tell us a bit about how that works?
Yeah, it's actually part of the normal help desk, especially when you're launching an app for the first time at a certain audience. I think you would get some questions, and I think the trick is to also overcome the questions and issues of the late majority users. So an app help desk is I think the best way to help the people in person at the moment that they are downloading it and they want to start using it. And it can be very simple questions like, I don't know my password, or which app do I need to download, or but it can also be silly stuff that they really need help with, like they had a typo in their email address. They really don't know how to log in anymore. So
yeah, exactly. I think for the hosted buyer type events, or must meet as we call them at Grip, that's almost essential, I think, with people knowing where to go, what, coach timetables, whatever. I mean, it's something that you would have anyway. You can combine it with the app help desk as well. James, you mentioned when we were talking before about emailing meeting invitations, because the worry is that you go to arrange a meeting with somebody and they haven't actually downloaded the app or logged in so far. You spoke about how you can get around that.
Yeah, so I think it's important to choose a platform that can work without having to download the app. So like it's a bit like the offline experience. Like to have that backup option where effectively someone could realize full value from the show or full value from the platform without downloading the app on their phone, being able to accept meetings or accept suggestions via email is quite important, and still to be able to get a little email back saying that is booked and that's confirmed. And I think that really, really helps. And we've done some of the stuff that Ruben described with kind of the slightly more complex flows around using SMS and WhatsApp to remind people of what they've signed up for. We find even with the best push notifications in the world, it requires app download. And sometimes people have them turned off, which is annoying, but they do. And to be honest, if I look at the way I use push notifications, there's a lot more apps on my phone that have them turned off than turned on. So, particularly like creating some flows around using SMS and WhatsApp to remind people that this session starting now, or this meeting they booked is about to start now, just makes a massive difference.
Yeah, very good. So what about personalization? How long have we got? We've got about 6 minutes left, so you've not got long to get your questions in. There aren't any at the moment still. They've been very quiet. They're just clearly blown away by our amazing tips, writing furiously. So yeah, what about personalization of the app? Do you do any personalization with your apps?
Definitely. I think one of the simple examples is, of course, based on the ticket, make sure that they only see the sessions that they can attend. So personalize the tracks.
Right.
the ability to create your own agenda is a way of personalization. The fact that you can favorite or mark interested the things you like are personalization. But what we also tend to do is make a different homepage of the app based on if you are an attendee or a representative. So representative needs to do the networking mainly. They will not attend a lot of sessions, or they don't necessarily need to view the partner list first. Now they want to get the recommendations. Actually, start searching the visitor list is the first thing they need to start doing. So that's on top, for example, for partners. Where on the visitor side, it's more about the program at first, and the more practical stuff as well about the event. So that's what we do. And
Yeah.
what I really like, what I've seen with a different supplier, is that at some point that you can share a timeline with attendees of where they have been and who they have
Mm,
met at what time during the event. And
that's it.
based on that, you can also do suggestions, maybe not only on the networking part, but also more on the content part. So I think that's something that could be more something to look into,
Yeah,
building a
exactly.
timeline of the event.
And I think that customization just across different event types. I'm sure, James, as you said, your events are different shapes and sizes and scales and whatever. And I think being able to customize that view depending on what the objective of that event is. Is it networking? Great. Put the lists and things. Put the meeting scheduler up front. If it's content, then obviously agenda and so on. Is that what you tend to do?
Yeah, so you'll see exactly as Ruben described, like within one of our events, there'll be different homepage variations depending on who you are and what you're there for. We sometimes tailor that a little bit extra. So even within whole kind of ticket categories, like even within like the general delegate base, for example, we'll tailor the homepage to what we know they are in the show to see and what they want to see. So we'll show different tracks and different sessions and that kind of thing. And then there'll be a huge change between, for example, a sponsor-led trade show versus one of our kind of smaller paid-for events where you're really trying to highlight the delegate to delegate networking experience and
Right.
sort of consumption of content that can help you do your job better. So you'll see like big changes, and it's really important to pick something that you can customize on that basis, I think.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, we've got 3 minutes to go. Still no questions here, but let's maybe close with, what does the future hold for your apps or your app strategy? Is it something that you're going to take on? What are you looking forward to? What do you hope that we as providers will develop to improve it?
Up to you, James.
Yes, I think integrating the experience between the app and the kind of face-to-face experience is probably like the biggest thing for you guys to continue to get right. Like we have, I think we've come from a world where everyone pivoted to virtual very quickly, and that's great because it really was kind of a boom time for apps changing the way they do things and focusing on the whole event experience, and that's great. But as we've returned to face-to-face, I think the integration of the app into the live experience, whether it's working with a reg system, whether it's working with any video guys that you have on site showing things on the show, like whatever it is, being able to kind of leverage the app and turn that into something that is reflective of the face-to-face experience becomes really important. That's why that's one of the reasons that I really like Ruben's idea about that kind of wayfinding thing and paths, like being able to use the app to impact and enhance the face-to-face experience rather than it being this kind of separate thing. It's like, oh well, I'm here and I've got stuff in front of me, and then I've got my face in my iPhone, and they're two different places. They need to be working very complementary together. So most of the stuff we're looking at improving is really just tidying that up and working with suppliers to tidy that up as well, so we kind of have that experience.
Yeah, so to finish that off, I think connecting the online and the offline world, let's say, where the event app is the online world and the event is the offline world, of course.
Mm.
I think augmented reality will be I think one of the technologies that can bridge that gap. So now people need to be on their phone, which is annoying, but if they have it on their site, if it's a glass or if it's a lens, where already some things are going very quickly on that site, I think that could be a big yeah, getting the right data, the right information there during the event. What I also believe is that paperless events are also coming. So not yet, but they will be there at some point. And then the event app is getting more and more important as well to even yeah, do the lead retrieval part, right? Normally it's a batch that you are scanning, but at some point the app should make the connection, right, between the people. I think lead scanning for all. I think that's vital. No more business card needed or paper needed to connect. So lead scanning for all. Giving easily consent on site when you're interested in a company. You know, the ability to scan yourself as an attendee as well. If the right representative is not there at that moment, that you can scan yourself and tell the company what you would like to receive and what you would like to give consent for. I think that's also a vital feature for the event app. And AI chatbots. So
yeah, definitely.
I think when you talk about large events, there's a lot of information around the venue, the surrounding when it comes to finding the right restaurants, hotels, side events, after parties, name it. I think a strong integrated chatbot that uses yeah, what ChatGPT is, for example, using to give the right answers. That would also be a very interesting feature to offer
I think
within
maybe
an
we need
event app.
another webinar on that, because it's something that we tested out at RX when I was on the innovation team, and you know, it was very mixed bag of results. So maybe we need to focus on this again. I'll have you back to discuss that. That does actually bring us, we're a little bit over actually. So thank you very much if you stayed with us till the end. Thank you ever so much, James and Ruben. Ruben, thank you for giving up your holiday time to join us. Much appreciated. And James, I'll see you on the next advisory board meeting, of course. But thank you everybody for taking part, and we hope that you've taken away some good tips. We'll see you for the next one in about a month's time, and have a lovely summer in the meantime. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Thank you.